Hello my darlings, welcome to a new reading vlog where I mood read and I also pull a tarot card prompt to pick one of my reads. So we're going to pull the tarot card for this vlog. Okay, I had a feeling this was going to be, I pulled this today already. So it's Wheel of Fortune. It's a double Wheel of Fortune pull for today. Wheel of Fortune is the first book I see on booktube. Okay, so how I'm doing this going forward is I can pick from any book in that video that I have not read and that my library has. So let's just go to the first video. So the first book video is by Alicia Runs and Reads.
Hi, this is going to be for
Okay, so we've got Tillinghast by Claire Kavanagh, and I actually have already DNF'd that. It was just very slow and it wasn't keeping my interest. That was, I think, a vampire book, if I recall, but I had already picked that up and DNF'd it. We got it quite early in Australia. Sometimes that does happen. So I'm just going to skip ahead. Little Wild. I have so Ready Set Net is NetGalley. I have a feeling that I might not be able to read these in Carrion Crow. Okay, I will see, but with NetGalley too, they don't actually offer Australia all the same titles that they offer to America, and also those titles might no longer be able to be requested, and sometimes it takes ages to even know if you've been denied or accepted. And I'm going to have to go to all my library apps, check them all, check the branches too physically, not just Libby, and see what I can get my hands on, and that will be my pick. I'm sure there's one. But those are my options. Here I am currently I haven't started it yet. Why I Love Horror, Essays on Horror Literature by Becky Siegel Spratford. No, it's not. It says edited by, well, is it? Is that the author? I would assume so. Becky Siegel Stratford. I've heard multiple people talk about this and say it's fantastic. So I picked it up from my library yesterday and I forgot to haul it, so you're seeing it here now. I'm going to go to the library today as well and grab some books, and I'll come back with a library haul.
Oh my god, what's going on? What are you doing? Hi. Hello. Hello there.
I'm back from the library. So I got Hunger and Thirst by Claire Fuller, set in 1987 after a childhood trauma and years in and out of the care system. 16-year-old Ursula finds herself with a new job in the post room of a local art school, a bed in a halfway house, and some new friends, including wild child Sue. When Ursula is invited to join a squat at the Underwood, a mysterious house whose owners met a terrible end, she can't resist the promise of a ready-made hodgepodge family. It says it's a tale of loneliness, female friendship, of the dangerous line between wanting and needing, and how far a person will go to truly belong. And I also got some books from indie, so I got The Duck Never Blinks, and I saw Rob add this to his Goodreads, and I thought, dude, I have a feeling Indy will like this book. It looks funny. And I also got her Bored. It was a new one. We'll see. She does like to say she's bored a lot. So those were the library hauls. No. Okay. Hello lovelies, I've got a lot of updates for you. So I was reading Carrion Crow by Heather Parry. So this is a very dark gothic tale about a young woman who is locked in her family's attic by her very controlling, abusive mother. So I read that and thought, oh, it's going to be flowers in the attic adjacent. To be honest, I am still traumatized by flowers in the attic. I decided to pick it up anyway because it was the only one on the video that I watched that my library had. And then I was reading it and they talked about how she was in love with a poor lawyer and her mother didn't approve and locked her in the attic. And as soon as I read that part, I was straight away, I pinged, oh my God, I think this is about the real life case of Blanche Meunier. And I unfortunately still remember that case to this day. I saw all of the horrific photos. It's one of the most vile instances of parental neglect that you could ever read about. It does not have a happy ending. It is incredibly depressing and sad. And also, as someone who used to get locked in their room as punishment, I sat and I thought, I don't think this book would be good for my mental health. I think I remember Alicia did say that it was heavy and dark. And if it follows the real life story, then I can know what kind of ending it will have. And I decided, yeah, no, I don't really want to read it. So I did DNF that one. But then I picked up Why I Love Horror by Becky Spratford. This is a collection of essays by some of today's current biggest horror authors about why they fell in love with horror, what the genre means to them, and why scary stories help us to understand ourselves and the world a little better. So we start off with an introduction by Becky with the good hair, and she lets us know that she is a reader's advisory librarian. And I didn't even know that this was a specialized thing that you could be. I'm guessing in America. Librarians here, we all have to, as part of our job, recommend books to patrons, but you can actually specialize in being a reader's advisory librarian, which is so fucking cool. So she talks about that, and I love reading about that. As a librarian, I loved recommending books to people, but it was a very time laborious thing because it involved a lot of me asking questions and then researching, trying to find the right book for the person, because it's not just, oh, hey, I read this book about unicorns and I want to read more like it. You have to ask, like, what is it that you liked about the book? Is it the themes? Is it the characters? Is it the world? Is it the magic system? Is it the writing? Yada, yada, yada. There's multiple things that make up why a person likes a book, not just it has unicorns in it. So you have to sort of tease that out of them so you can really find them books that have the elements of what it is that they loved about it. And so she talks about that, and I think that was fantastic. And I geek out about whenever I read about other librarians because fucking mad crush. And also librarians are freaky as shit. I was just gonna say, we're all freaks. Loved reading that. In each essay, it starts with an introduction by Becky. So Becky will introduce the author, she'll talk about their style, the kind of horror that they tend to write, as well as which of their books you should start with. So that reader advisoriness comes into play there, and also a similar author and their book. So I loved that as an introduction. It was just enough to arm you with context before the author began their essay. As a whole, it's about the love of horror. It's a celebration of scary stories that matter. It is about fear as connection, how horror helps us process our real life anxieties together. Obviously personal stories, because all of these authors are contributing and reflecting on how horror has shaped their lives personally. It's about catharsis, how exploring darkness can be emotionally healing and freeing, the power of storytelling in general, and reading culture. Like I said, her background as a librarian does flavor the book somewhat. There were a lot of stories I enjoyed in this. I think my favorites, one of them was a 5-star for me. I'm gonna try and talk about this without crying because I don't want to fuck up my makeup, but we had My Mother Was Margaret White by Cynthia Pelayo. When I was reading it, felt like, oh my God, is this person talking about my childhood? We had a very similar childhood. We both grew up and chose to be cycle breakers to ensure that our children never experienced what we experienced. And then we also both chose later in life, once time had passed, to forgive our abusers when they had shown that they had grown and they had changed, and that they were treating our children how we wish they had treated us. But those elements aside, we also were introduced to horror movies by the same horror film, both at an age that we should not have been watching horror films, and that was Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy, to this day, still haunts my dreams sometimes. I still have nightmares about Freddy, but for, I guess, a lot of people in this book, I think when you experience trauma at a young age, you sometimes end up drawn to horrific things, I think, as a way to make sense, as a way to process what has been done to you as well. A lot of them mentioned that with horror films and horror books, you can stop it at any time. Like, you have the power and they can't actually hurt you. I ended up going on the same thing, watching every horror movie I could until my mother found me watching Scream and started screaming about how it was demonic and I was inviting the devil into our home. And then after that, I just switched to watching The X-Files at my auntie's house to get that fix. As a child, the first stories that I wrote were horror stories. And I remember the day that the school called my parents and I in. It was grade 4, so I was around 9 or 10, and they had my story that I had written there, and they told my parents that they were very concerned that the content was graphic and alarming. I believe that I'd written about a serial killer who was a homicidal maniac who had escaped from a mental asylum and would scoop people's eyeballs out and then fill their socket cavities with sand and make little sand castles. I think that was the story that I'd written that had gotten me into trouble. I remember sitting there in that moment thinking, they think you're weird, Chanel. Stop being weird. Just be normal. Just be normal. And from then on, I vowed not to write horror stories ever again. But I thought this collection of essays was fantastic. Overall, I've given it a 4.5. There were some essays in there that I just didn't care for, so it did lower the rating a little bit. But I am now going to be looking up what Cynthia writes, because obviously I felt such a shared life experience with her over what we both endured and got through together. I think that goes for every child who was abused. You feel so alone and obviously scared, but you're not alone. There are others like you who went through the same thing, and most of you got out of it, and you have each other in a way. But as Hailey Piper says, horror is healing. As Jennifer McMahon says, horror has given me a place where I am not the perpetual outsider, the freaky monster girl, a place where I recognize myself in the monsters, the heroes, and everyone in between. As Rachel Harrison says, this is why I love horror. For every time I stayed quiet when I wanted to speak up, because I was trying to be good and polite and not be deemed a bitch, horror gives me permission to scream. For every time I deprived myself because I was taught deprivation is a virtue, that want is unbecoming, horror gives me the space to gorge. For every time I was made to feel ashamed of my body, horror allows me the freedom to imagine what it would be like if my body had the power to rip the world apart. For the things I have endured that I cannot bring myself to speak about, horror meets me with no judgment, just hands me a weapon and gives me a wink, a release, consolation, understanding. Plus, it's dairy-free. And as Cynthia Paleo says, this is why I love horror. It validated me. It told me this thing, life, hurts, but you will survive. I can't talk about it anymore because I'll start fucking crying. But a really excellent nonfiction book about horror with essays from current horror authors. There are so many books that I have added to my TBR as well from this, which is wonderful. Loved it. Would highly recommend. Okay. The next book I picked up was Arcana Royale by Cullen, Bunn, A.C. Zamudio, Bill Crabtree, and Joshua Reed. This is about a street smart Vegas gambler who gets pulled or recruited into this secret tournament where magical tarot-like cards don't just win you money, they decide the fate of the entire world. In this place, bluffing and magic and survival all go hand in hand. There were high stakes, the highest of stakes. It feels glamorous and dangerous. It is supernatural and competitive. This was a very fast-paced graphic novel about taking risks and fate versus free will and power and confidence. Betting on yourself can be your greatest strength, or it could be your downfall, hubris. It's about secrets with these hidden societies, and I thought it was okay. I gave it a 3.25. The illustration style is done in this very sort of mostly darker, moody color palette, but there are pages that do have more vibrant pops of color compared to the rest of it. I do like the illustration style. However, the way it was written, the entire story sounded like the opening monologue of a movie. It very much reminded me of Now You See Me, and I just didn't vibe with the storytelling element in this. It was a cool idea. I'm not intrigued enough to continue on with it, so I'm just going to leave my journey of this with the first book. I did love the cards. I thought they were cool, but I didn't understand, to be honest, enough about what exactly they did and what the overall purpose of this game is. That is what I have read thus far. In terms of physical books, I do have these to try. They're very similar. We've got Resistance of Witches and No Man's Land. They are both fantasy books that are set during, this one's World War I Britain, and this is Hitler's war. So they're both set during wartime, which it's real human war, which I don't love. Real life human wars in fiction novels, but I will try both of them and see how we go. If I don't like either of those, I will be going on to Hunger and Thirst by Claire Fuller. This is set in the 1980s and it's a lit fic. So those are my physical options. I did just get in, if you watch, you'll see it in one of my future vlogs. I got notified while I was filming. I did just get in Headlights by CJ Lead. I am uncertain about this one. I don't think this might be for me. I loved her other two novels. American Rapture was my favorite. This does, I think, involve a police officer. I'm not a huge cop person in books. I don't tend to love that. And it's gotten mixed reviews. And also, I guess we'll see too, does it involve a lot of animal cruelty or death? Because that can kill a novel for me. But I am going to try that. I've also got in Luminous by Sylvia Park. So I'm going to be reading that as well. We'll see whatever I get finished by Friday. So these vlogs from now on are Friday to Friday. If I've only read one book in that time, then there'll be a one book vlog. It is what it is. So we'll see what I finish by then. It's currently Tuesday. Today I am going to Westfield. I'm taking Indiana and her friends to see Toy Story 5. I might do a bit of shopping too while I'm there. And then we'll be coming home and I'll be resting because tomorrow I'm taking Valentine and her friends to the Queen Victoria Winter Night Markets, which is going to be a very overstimulating event for me. But she wants to go and it's school holidays and I'm going to suck it up. But as you can hear, I had a flare up. I haven't filmed for days because I did go down. Luckily, it was right when my kids were going to their dad's, so I just convalesced for 2 days. All I did was watch movies and read some books. I was just lying down or in bed the entire time to try and get my health up enough to go out today and then to take my kids. I do less well in winter in general. The cold does affect a lot of my health conditions, and with school holidays and with now having my children 28 days a month, I'm just a bit more burnt out. I'm trying my best, but it's hard when you have chronic illness. and a lot of responsibility and things, and just going out and doing things does cause my body stress. So I'm doing the best I can. I could nourish myself more though, and I will get back on it, because for that very brief moment where I had really good health after my shroom trip, I've had a taste of that life, and I would really like to get it back to see if I can myself get back to that level of being, fingers crossed. This cover is so goddamn cute, bro. Oh my god, there's so many books I'm curious about. I'm tempted, but I don't like the way the cover feels. I'm back. Girls had a great time. What did I do? Oh, I picked a perfume for Ravenous. So I went and as soon as I saw the bottle for Byredo's Rouge Chaotic, I was like, wow, it's a match. It's very dark fruit dressed in wildfire. It is smoky woods at midnight with danger lurking in the shadows. It was just very luxurious, smoldering wildness as a scent. So I don't know what this is about. I've just done it based on the cover and the color scheme. So that's the perfume that I am dedicating to this read. I guess myself a little cookie. So this is a gluten-free vegan cookie. Num num num. And that's it. That's all I bought. I was looking at all the books and readings. I was very tempted, but I thought, don't do it. Wait until you read them, and if they're 5 stars. Yes, I prefer to spend all my money on 5 stars. I would love to, my goal is to one day be so financially secure that I can just buy books on a whim at the bookstore. It can just be like $35, no worries. Let's give it a shot. So that's what I'm working towards. I ship these
There's
too.
no question that you're an incredible mage.
Sign and prayer.
Might be the case.
Mommy!
You were the reason we made it out of there alive.
She's an older woman.
Thank you very much, Sign.
She got in head pats.
Good boy.
What's happening? Mom ships these guys, an old man with her.
He's so cute. Hello. Hello, lovelies. I am battling the setting sun. I looked straight into the sun just then, and now I'm seeing things. Oh my god, don't look directly into the sun. So I'm just going to make this quick. I picked up the itty bitty book Judge D and the Limits of the Law by Lavie Tidhar. This is about vampire infighting. So 2 lords of different castles have gotten themselves into a skirmish and have thus summoned the feared Judge D. Judge D is an investigator, an executioner, a philosopher, but most of all, he's a really, really fucking old vampire. And he decides, and it's his job to uncover the truth and mete out justice. So it was a vampire noir with moral ambiguity that followed this ancient vampire detective and his John Watson. There are a lot of themes, obviously, of power and responsibility. So Judge D's authority comes with the burden of deciding who deserves punishment. He's also the monster that monsters fear. And it also looks at how the truth is complicated. It is complicated, and every investigation unveils hidden motives rather than just simple black and white guilt or innocence. There are shades of grey, and it's Judge D's job to discern. I thought it was fun. I've given it a 4 stars. I liked the mystery that they had to solve and how it wrapped up, and I liked Judge D as a character as well. So yeah, I had a fun time with this one. And with Ravenous by Dax Dagger, I am currently 150 pages into it. So this opens up with an author on stage getting interviewed, and then absolute hell breaks loose. People die, people are permanently traumatized. And then we fast forward to our main character, who is a struggling writer, a massive fan of this previous author. And he's just, I think he was going for a jog, and he comes across a nut job, a man whom he believes is off his rocker. This man is spouting, "This world isn't ours," and seems to be deranged. When all of a sudden our struggling author gets a phone call from his agent saying, "You just got the deal of a lifetime." That other famous author has died, he's kicked the bucket, but his book remains unfinished. It's 75% done. This very large publishing house wants you to ghostwrite the end of it, finish it, and they will also give you a 2-book deal after the fact. So he's like, yes, sign me up. This is my big break, finally. And as he hangs up, the crazy man gets hit and killed horrifically by a bus. And as he approaches the now dead man, he sees that that man was clutching one of this other author's books. So there's a bit of a, what's going on with this author? And then we're in present day, and lo and behold, his contract has a few minor additions. He must stay in this dead author's house to finish the novel. He can have no outside contact with the world. He cannot even go outside the house. He's got 2 weeks to get it done. He must absolutely stick to the outline the author has given him. And the third contingency is, if that dead author comes back, he must not let him finish the book. What the fuckity fuck? At the moment, with the author and the creepiness, it's giving me Mr. Cables and Beautiful Ugly. It's also giving cosmic horror elements, but this on the back was blurbed as Stranger Things meets Misery, so I'm interested to see how does that play a part. There seems to be mirror people thus far in this. The house itself is a house of mirrors, a fun house, if you will. Rooms open up and then disappear, and weird shit is going on. He feels like someone's in there with him, so there's a lot of cosmic dread and creepiness and gothic isolation, and reality being something that you cannot trust. Just a lot of creeping paranoia. This is his chance at his dream career. This is the one. But is his ambition more important than his survival? At the moment, he wants out of the house, but they're not letting him out. So, I think I've got some friends outside. I am still feeding the magpies because I only get 1 or 2 magpies at a time, and they're locals. So yeah, I'll be back, but that's what I'm reading. Okay, I have flipped the camera around because the sun in my face was a bit too much and I was going blind. Okay, so I will probably finish Ravenous. I'm intrigued. I think this is one of those novels where I want to read it until the end to figure out what everything means. I think that could be the last book I read because it is Wednesday, and on Friday I'm finishing this vlog, so we'll see. Today I'm taking my daughter and her friends to the Queen Vic markets. It's their winter night. I have no energy in my tank whatsoever, but I must soldier on because I'm the only mum, the only parent who volunteers to take the girls out. For some reason, no one else puts their hand up. So if I cancel today, they don't get to go. So I don't want to disappoint them. So I'm just going to do what I have to push through and make this a fun night for them. and I have set nothing aside for the next 4 days so I can recover over the next 4 days if need be. But I will take you along with me tonight.
Actually, Mom's holding that bush.
Bro, Madison making more like ride backs. Like,
Hey baby girl.
fake snow, guys.
I very much want to go home. We've been lining up for 40 minutes, another 20 minutes to go.
It's not ready yet, honey. That is where we're going.
She's trying to catch her tail. She hasn't caught it yet. Oh, she got it. She got it. Okay guys, it is now Saturday. I was meant to film yesterday, but I was too exhausted. I think I've decided at the moment I'm going to turn off the camera notifications just so I can sleep, and I just have to trust myself that I would wake up should anyone break into my house, because the sleep deprivation is heavily impacting me now. I'm just chronic illness overload, and I think it is because I'm just not sleeping. I'm being woken up 14 to 20 times a night because of all the cats and foxes and possums that are triggering the camera. So I'm just going to lock my doors and yeah, rely on the fact that I am a super light sleeper. So worst case scenario, hopefully I'll wake up anyway, but I do need to just get my health back in check, because so far, like as I've said, they haven't tried us. So for whatever reason, maybe it is because my house is old and my car is old, they're like, let's go for the better looking houses and cars on the street and skip this woman, which is fine by me. It's fine by me. So the last book I read was Ravenous by Dax Dagger. So this was about the power of stories and legacy. The author's name was Whistler Dodd. I don't know why I just didn't tell you the names to begin with instead of saying the author and then the writer. That was confusing. I apologize for that messy review. So I feel like I have a hair, and I probably do. It's probably a cat hair. So the famous author was Whistler Dodd, the one who died and left an unfinished manuscript and decided that the main character, Kirk, the unsuccessful writer, was the guy to finish the job. And then our mediocre author's new editor was named Oswin, and she had a lot of trauma and a lot of fear of mirrors, and I just really didn't care for her chapters. I just did not care about her as a character. And this whole book really is of is what you're seeing real? Is it a hallucination? What's actually reality? Fever dream kind of story, which isn't my favorite. As you guys know, I like a bit more lucidity and transparency. I don't like guessing, are they in the mirror world? Are they in the real world? Is that the real him? Is that the parallax version of him sort of scenario? It was just a bit headache inducing for me. And the time distortion in this book was real, and so it was for me in regards to reading it. It just felt a bit too long. It took me quite a long time to finish this book. There are on-page animal deaths as well. And I think another apt comparison for this book would be Coraline. There are some parallels with that book and this one. Overall, I ended up giving it a 3 stars. It just wasn't my kind of... I think this was genred as a horror. Let me just double check myself. It's good to hold myself accountable in real time and fact check. It felt like more of a Lovecraftian kind of thriller, I would say, than a horror. There were a few gnarly scenes that involved shards of glass in people's orifices and things of that nature, but I wouldn't call this horror. I wasn't really scared at any point. They haven't genred it at all. It's got almost nothing going on the Goodreads page. They haven't really fleshed it out. But yeah, those are all the books that I read. So let me finish up this reading vlog for you. We've got Why I Love Horror by Becky Spratford. I gave this a 4.5 stars, and this was my favorite read of this reading vlog. If your comfort genre is horror, this book gets you. Arcana Royale, which I gave a 3.25. What Happens in Vegas Might Doom Humanity. Judge Dee and the Limits of the Law by Lavie Tidhar. Don't know how to say it. I gave that a 4 stars. Law and Order, Vampire Victims Unit. And Ravenous by Dax Dagger, which I gave 3 stars. Worst ghostwriting gig ever. If you read horror books, let me know what one of your favorite horror books is down below. And if you don't know what to comment, just leave me a ghost emoji. And until next time, stay wild, star child.